Welcome to We've Got a Country to Save, brought to you by my friends at investyrefy.com. Invest in America like I do. And by Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat is true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. Speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Epoch Times, Old Glory Bank, Patriot Mobile, and Birch Gold. Make sure to follow or subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are using, whether X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. And be sure to patronize our sponsors. And if you don't patronize our sponsors, well...
They're back!
Hey, what the hell are you doing, man?
Are you okay?
Yes, no, it's all right. He's just killing my alligator bags and shooting holes in my suit. Man, that's just me.
We know where you live.
Americans deserve a campaign based on the issues. We try and keep it on the issues. And God has now spared my life. It must have been God. Thank you. Not once, but twice. And there are those that say he did it because Trump is going to turn this state around. He's going to turn this country around. He's going to make America great again. And maybe. And we're going to bring back religion into our country. Bring it back. These encounters with death have not broken my will. They have really given me a much bigger and stronger mission.
Well, this hasn't worn well.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
And you wonder why we got here. How about this reaction to the second attempt at former President Donald Trump's life?
I really, I don't care what you feel about him or Harris. I mean, this is the expectation that he will be safe, and the reason why this is, in some ways, you said how close the election is. The problem is this is a safety issue that is being thrown into a very intense political environment in which the very fact of an assassination, a constitutional moment, because it could have impacted voters, will be used for political purposes, and that to me is just exceptionally unfortunate, because whatever your beliefs are, we do deserve to have campaigns that are not. Where violence isn't being used as either a sword or a shield.
Hi, folks. Do you trust this economy? What if you could receive a strong fixed rate of return that's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed? And what if you were in control? You could turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose. What if your interest was compounded daily, you were paid monthly, and there were absolutely no fees? And what if you could have peace of mind because there was no attack on your principal if you ever needed your money back? Well, folks, there is an investment with all of these features. Investors all over the country are earning a high fixed rate of return with Yrefy, and they don't care about what happened with the stock market or the Fed. And best of all, they receive their statement every month with no surprises. Would you like some more information? Just call 877-80-INVEST. That's 877-80-INVEST. Or log on to investyrefy.com. That's investyrefy.com. Yrefy, do well by doing good. And then there's Hillary Clinton calling Donald Trump a danger to the country after the second assassination attempt.
I'm particularly impressed by the many, many Republicans, people who served in other Republican administrations, and especially people who served in Trump's term as well, who are just sounding the alarm. They're making their voices heard as loudly as they can above the din, above all the distraction and diversion that goes on in our political discourse right now. So I do think many, many more people are being given the opportunity to reject what Trump offers, what he represents. Not as many. The race is still too close. The Electoral College is still the big hurdle that has to be overcome. But I am, very hopeful and even optimistic that Americans who do not want to see a continuation of this politics of hate and division will reject Trump. And maybe some Republicans who know that they can't vote for Trump will end up voting for the Harris-Walz ticket as well.
And it's not about the hateful rhetoric that inspires these would-be murderers who are the ones legally and criminally responsible. No, it's Republicans for not supporting more gun control.
The I Hate Taylor Swift story was quickly eclipsed yesterday by another crazy American man with a gun, apparently trying to do something crazy with a gun that he was apparently able to obtain illegally in a country where Republicans have made sure that America's murderers and assassins are the very best equipped murderers and assassins in the world.
So let's ignore the would-be assassins' hatred of Trump.
Donald Trump and President Biden had what they said was a cordial conversation this afternoon after the Secret Service yesterday thwarted what seemed to be another attempt on his life. The suspect was outside Trump's golf course with an AK-47. The Secret Service agent spotted and shot at him. The would-be assassin, they caught him. He appears to be a troubled individual. His political views are all over the place. He tweeted earlier this year that his dream ticket would be Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy, which is how you know he's nuts.
Views all over the place. This would-be assassin asked Iran to assassinate Trump and posted on social media, "Democracy is on the ballot." From where did he get that offensive, asinine, dangerous rhetoric? Here's a hint.
Stochastic terrorism is, right, when a leader uses language that is more likely than not to radicalize.
Democracy is on the ballot still.
Democracy is on the ballot.
Democracy is on the ballot.
Democracy's on the ballot.
Democracy's on the ballot.
Democracy is literally on the ballot.
Democracy is on the ballot for this election.
Vice President Harris has made very clear that democracy is on the ballot here.
Democracy, of course, is, as the president likes to say, on the ballot.
Terrorism experts call this stochastic terrorism, where somebody has been so demonized that it creates this heightened risk of lone wolf actors.
Donald Trump is turning this nation into Nazi Germany.
You now have a president, as you said, talking about exterminating Latinos.
A re-election of Donald Trump could mean the end of democracy.
This would be the end of America.
An actual Trump-led wannabe empire is the end of democracy.
Stochastic terrorism is a way of using language that is clearly meant to incite some percentage of the people listening for a violent purpose.
What does that potentially do for unbalanced people out there?
He is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated.
Hateful rhetoric, anyone?
I talk about the fact that when we swore in finally in January, that we swore to defend against those that are coming against us, whether they are domestic or international. And right now, I feel like MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically. And we see it time and time again. And I think that's why you see so many national leaders, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, coming together to say there is only one person qualified to be the commander in chief, and that is Kamala Harris.
And this is Obama advisor and now Kamala Harris senior advisor calling for Trump's extermination.
That hardcore MAGA base, they're going to drive Republican politics and therefore a big part of our country's dynamic for a very, very long time. And they're not going anywhere. Right. So again, they're speaking to their sick, perverted 1/3 of the country, that gets injected by Fox News and Sinclair and Breitbart, all this stuff.
In terms of, I think, what has been unleashed out there by Donald Trump, by Tucker Carlson, by Breitbart, by Steve Bannon, all of these really agents of hatred. It shouldn't shock any of us, sadly, that there's violence. And I think we're going to have a bunch of close races, is my sense, in this election, that, House districts could be decided by 200, 300, 400 votes. Senate races could be decided by a few thousand. And I think there's going to be a lot of people out there who are going to be told that those elections are rigged. It's not fair. The Democrats are pedophilia. pushers, and they hate this country. So yeah, this is really, and you listen, you match this with the unprecedented ability for people to carry guns wherever they basically want in a lot of parts of the country. It's very scary. Let's not forget what's at the top of the funnel here, which is the Tucker Carlsons, the Donald Trumps, the Steve Bannons, just shouting, lying, basically trying to tear this country apart. And listen, are we going to remain a democracy? I think it's very much an open question. If we're a democracy on January 20th, 2025, I think we'll have made it through the dark, but there's no guarantee we will.
With the massive tax hikes proposed by Harris, an almost 40% top income tax rate, 7% increase to the corporate tax, a capital gains tax on unrealized gains, and the fact that she's proposing to add almost $2 trillion to the current $2 trillion deficit, you might be thinking, well, maybe it's time to make more of your savings tax sheltered and inflation sheltered. This is where I trust the good people at Birch Gold Group to help you. Birch Gold will assist you in converting an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. And the best news, you don't pay a penny out of pocket. Just visit LarryForGold.com and get a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just information on fortifying your savings before the crazy really hits. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of happy customers, you can trust Birch Gold too. Visit LarryForGold.com for your free info kit today. That's LarryForGold.com. And get this. According to the New York Post, a whistleblower report said the Secret Service agent in charge of Trump's Butler rally, quote, was known to be incompetent, failed key exam. Are you kidding me?
Harry?
And Hillary Clinton suggests Americans who spread misinformation should be jailed. Speaking of misinformation, does that include her?
As I've been telling candidates who have come to see me, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president who got illegitimate foreign help. He knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election turned out the way it did. I know that he knows that this wasn't on the level.
Why do you think the president is going to such great lengths to essentially prove that he beat you?
Because he knows he didn't. He knows he's an illegitimate president. I do think that he knows that he's an illegitimate president.
And one more time, what did Jay Johnson, Obama's Homeland Security Secretary, say about Russians attempting to change votes?
I know of no evidence that through cyber intrusions, votes were altered or suppressed in some way.
But 66% of Democrats believe the Russians, in fact, changed vote tallies to elect Donald Trump. 66%. Can you say election denying? And if you're Kamala Harris, this isn't good.
We had so much fun. But what was really incredible is in every single restaurant of the people willing to talk to us, we could only find one Harris supporter in every restaurant. And we left no stone unturned. I approached every single person.
This is why Harris does not like to do solo interviews. This was not a trick question. How are you different from Joe Biden?
Wonder if there are one or two spots, policy areas or approaches where you would say, I'm a different person.
Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden. And, I offer a new generation of leadership. And so, for example, thinking about developing and creating an opportunity economy where it's about investing in areas that really need a lot of work and maybe focusing on, again, the aspirations and the dreams, but also just recognizing that at this moment in time, some of the stuff we could take for granted years ago, we can't take for granted anymore. For example, another plan that I have that is a new approach is to expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families for the first year of their child's life, because that is obviously a very critical stage of development of a child. And a lot of young parents need the help to buy a car seat or a crib or clothes for their kids. And so my approach is about new ideas, new policies that are directed at the current moment. And also, to be very honest with you, my focus is very much in what we need to do over the next 10, 20 years.
And Ms. Harris, how would you lower prices?
When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, you know, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, you know, but a lot of people will relate to this. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn, you know? And I was raised to believe and to know that all people deserve dignity. And that we as Americans have a beautiful character. You know, we have ambitions and aspirations and dreams, but not everyone necessarily has access to the resources that can help them fuel those dreams and ambitions. So when I talk about building an opportunity economy, it is very much with the mind of investing in the ambitions and aspirations and the incredible work ethic of the American people, and creating opportunity for people, for example, to start a small business.
So I was raised middle class. Now, Harris gave another solo interview, this time with the National Association of Black Broadcasters. These two questions and answers was Harris in mid-season form.
Do you have full confidence in the Secret Service to protect all of you?
I do.
You feel safe, you and your family?
I do. But, I mean, you can go back to Ohio. Not everybody has Secret Service. And there are far too many people in our country right now who are not feeling safe. I mean, I look at Project 2025, and I look at, you know, like the Don't Say Gay laws coming out of Florida. Members of the LGBTQ community don't feel safe right now. Immigrants or people with an immigrant background don't feel safe right now. Women don't feel safe right now.
Harry?
Next question.
But polling shows that some black men, particularly young black men, are considering voting for Donald Trump, and they see him as better for the economy. What is your message to young black male voters who feel left out of this economy, and how can your economic policies materially change their lives?
So I appreciate the spirit of the question, but I'll tell you, I've often been asked this question in a way that I've had to respond by first saying that I think it's very important to not operate from the assumption that black men are in anybody's pocket. Black men are like any other voting group. You got to earn their vote. So I'm working to earn the vote, not assuming I'm going to have it because I am black, but because the policies and the perspectives I have understands what we must do to recognize the needs of all communities.
I was raised middle class. Ask about the border. Kamala Harris rambled so long, Oprah had to jump in and rescue her.
It gets to the point about what does leadership really look like? And is it about you or is it about the people? Right. Is it about running on problems or fixing problems? My work and my career has always been about saying, let's fix problems. Let's address the needs because we know it's within our capacity to do that.
So to answer Justin's question, now that that bill has gone and hasn't passed, will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely. And when I am elected president of the United States, I will make sure that bill gets to my desk and I will sign it into law.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
One more time, how would you lower prices?
We love our country. I love our country. I know we all do. That's why everybody's here right now. We love our country. We take pride in the privilege of being American. And this is a moment where we can and must come together as Americans, understanding we have so much more in common than what separates us. Let's come together with the character that we are so proud of about who we are, which is we are an optimistic people. We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams and ambitions and aspirations. We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be. And we believe in fighting for that. That's how we came into being, because the people before us understood that one of the greatest expressions for the love of our country, one of the greatest expressions of patriotism, is to fight for the ideals of who we are, which includes freedom to make decisions about your own body, freedom to be safe from gun violence, freedom to have access to the ballot box, freedom to be who you are and just be, to love who you love openly and with pride, freedom to just be. And that's who we are. We believe in all that. And so this is a moment where we stand knowing what we are fighting for. We're not fighting against. It's what we're fighting for.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
And while Kamala and Oprah were chatting it up, Tim Walz was working on his car and blaming Project 2025.
Hey everybody, Governor Walz here. My 79 International Harvester Scout and my 5-year-old Black Lab Boxer Scout. Everything works on here, except one thing I'm still tinkering with, cruise control. So I'm gonna show you how to fix that. At the same time, we talk about creating an opportunity economy so that everybody can get the opportunity to thrive. So come here, take a look at this. I'll show you how this thing works. It's fascinating how the cruise control works on these old vehicles. If J.D. Vance, along with Donald Trump, get the opportunity, the folks getting the tax cuts are going to be the billionaires. They don't care about fixing the cruise control on a 79 International because they can buy whatever they want. Middle-class folks are the ones that need the tax cut. That's what a President Harris administration will do. You can always tell something about somebody's maintenance when how clean their air filter is. Look, to be able to work on this thing, you got a manual. It shows you exactly what to do to fix things on this. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have a manual too. It's called Project 2025, and it's a way to stick it to the middle class while giving tax cuts to the wealthiest, rigging our economy to make it more difficult for people. Look, they didn't give me a manual for this.
In other words,
I, Kamala Harris, am your Democrat candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility of the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden. Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant. Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time, and there is such great significance to the passage of time. Another trick is trying to sound black. I pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa, and in my speeches, I always do my best Barack Obama impression. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And okay, look, maybe my work addressing the root causes of the border crisis were catastrophic, but my knowledge of international politics is truly shocking. The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. It is an alliance that is strong and enduring. And just remember, when voting this November, it is important to see what can be unburdened by what has been. And by what has been, I mean Joe Biden. Do you think the country went to over the past 4 years? You ain't seen nothing yet.
And California Governor Gavin Newsom, to hell with the First Amendment, has now signed a bill outlawing the use of AI-generated parody ads before the 2024 election. Again, can you say illegal? And here's how the Babylon Bee responded.
Hi, I'm Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. This is a message for the people of America, given in my authentically recorded, non-AI voice. Thanks to my leadership over the last several years, California has become a world leader in extremist, left-wing governance. My policies were so effective that almost 1 million people are now fleeing the state every year. We even ran out of U-Hauls. During the COVID pandemic, I locked everyone in their homes and shut down businesses for months. Not the French Laundry, though. That's my favorite restaurant. Last year, I cleaned up the dangerous, messy streets of San Francisco, because Chinese Communist President Xi was coming, and I really wanted to impress him. He's my boss, after all. This year, I signed legislation that allows me to take custody of your kid if you refuse to give him artificial hormones and chop off his genitals. Because if you don't do that, you're a bigot, and bigots shouldn't be allowed to have kids. I've also led the way in green energy by banning all cars that don't run on electricity. Then I banned almost all the electricity. This is smart leadership. On my watch, the cost of living and homelessness have skyrocketed. Schools are failing. Drug dealers and human traffickers are pouring across the border. And poop has covered the sidewalks of San Francisco. This is the positive, joyful vision we offer as Democrats. That's why I'm enthusiastically endorsing Kamala Harris for president in 2024. She'll do to the country everything I did in California. Anyway, I'm California Governor Gavin Newsom, and I approve this 100% real message, which is a recording of my voice without the assistance of any AI whatsoever. This isn't a deep fake, and you can rest assured that it isn't, because I just signed an unconstitutional law outlawing deep fakes. No one would dare violate it. Thank you, and science bless America.
Speaking of Freedom Chat, they have partnered with Republican Red Winery to introduce Never Surrender, a special edition Pinot Noir aged for 10 years, specially created to support the Trump campaign. I hold up a bottle of the wine. Never Surrender is not just an exceptional bottle of wine, it's a collector's item that honors Donald Trump's iconic defiant fist bump following the first attempt on his life. This bold, limited edition wine embodies his spirit of resilience, self-sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to our great nation. With only 2,000 bottles available, this is your chance to own a unique piece of history. Act quickly to secure your bottle. Again, there's only 2,000 available, and they are going fast. Don't miss out. Visit republicanred.com/freedomchat. That's republicanred.com/freedomchat. You must be 21 and older to purchase. Use code FreedomChat at checkout for fast, free shipping. Cheers to freedom. Now, speaking of despicable, I don't think I've ever called anybody, at least publicly, a despicable scumbag. But enough about Don Lemon.
The attempt to end my husband's life was a horrible, distressing experience. Now, the silence around it feels heavy. I can't help but wonder, why didn't law enforcement officials arrest the shooter before the speech? There is definitely more to this story, and we need to uncover the truth.
Maybe this dude just hates women.
She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. Oh, I got another.
I'm not saying
decade.
I agree with that. So I think she has to be careful about saying that politicians aren't in their prime.
You need to qualify. Are you talking about prime for like childbearing, or are you talking about prime for being president?
By the way, at the time of that ignorant Don Lemon comment, Nikki Haley was 51 and Don Lemon was 56. And we know Mr. Lemon has a problem with black conservatives, including moi.
Don Lemon calls Larry Elder an Uncle Tom and gets destroyed by Larry. Was this before or after Larry Elder did the documentary called Uncle Tom that people have been asking me to check out. I already purchased it. I just was unable to react to it. It wouldn't let me react to it, but we're going to get to it. But for now, let's check this out.
So last night, I get an email from a friend who says, did you watch the Don Lemon show on CNN last night? I'd rather stick needles in my eyeballs. No, I didn't watch the Don Lemon show. The only time I watch the Don Lemon show is when I know that Dennis Prager is going to be on. And it turns out Dennis Prager was on. And the issue was this hysteria over Donald Trump. And eventually the discussion was whether or not Donald Trump's presidency has unleashed anti-Semitism and racism in America. And of course, Prager thought it was nonsense. But then a very interesting thing happened. Prager invoked the name of the great Eldersky and said, well, Larry Elder happened to be black, and the only reason I'm mentioning that is because it's relevant for the conversation. And he doesn't believe that Donald Trump has unleashed racism and anti-Semitism. And then I got called a few names by Mr. Lemon.
But I think the ratio, Larry Elder, a colleague of mine, who happens to be black, I think it's only relevant because we're talking about racism here, and doesn't think Trump has unleashed racism, did a CNN analysis, and it
just
seems
because
that
he's black, it doesn't mean that he is aware, and it doesn't mean that he is smart.
Oh, he's very aware. Yeah. He's one of the brightest guys I know.
And it doesn't also mean that he is not co-opted by certain things, and that he doesn't reap the benefits of us having a certain platform.
Such a cop-out. This is such a cop-out by conservatives that are in the tank for Trump.
Selena, I want you to, here's what President...
Not co-opted by certain things.
Wow.
What the bleep does that even mean? Let me tell you what it means. Don Lemon was calling me an Uncle Tom, but he's smart enough to know that calling me an Uncle Tom might get him suspended if not fired. So he needed another word, but that's what he meant. Now let's talk a little bit about Mr. Lemon, shall we? I was asked by a radio station earlier, did it bother me what he said? And I'm reminded about an exchange that took place in the book called The Fountainhead, Ayn Rand. And the hero of the book, Howard Rourke, was asked how he felt about somebody. Peter Keating was the guy that asked him, and they were kind of rivals. And Peter Keating said of Mr. Rourke, "What do you think of me?" And he said, "I don't." And that's how I feel about lightweights like Don Lemon.
He said, "I don't." What do you feel about him? I don't. And then he called him a lightweight.
And Mark Lamont Hill and Michael Eric Dyson, they're all the same.
Oh.
These are all educated people, tenured people in the cases of the ones that are at colleges, making six figures, perhaps even more than that, sitting around whining about how bad things are for other people. See, they were able to make it. Somehow the thicket of racism, they were able to navigate through that. Somehow they were able to cut down and deal with all of the institutional, systemic, structural racism that holds everybody else back. Didn't hold them back, of course, because they're talented, lucky. What's the analysis here?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it was the last time I was on Don Lemon's show, I happened to quote a poll that was taken by an organization called, I can't think of the name of the organization, or I thought of the name of the organization, it's called CNN. CNN timed a poll in 1997. That's 20 years ago. They asked both black teens and white teens the following question. Is racism a major problem in America? Not too surprisingly, both the black teens and white teens said yes. But then they asked the following question of black teens. Is racism a big problem, a minor problem, or no problem in your own daily lives? 89% of the black teens said it was a little problem or no problem in my own daily life. And this is a real bombshell takeaway. Twice as many black teens as whites said failure to take advantage of available opportunities is a bigger problem than racism.
Wow.
That's a Time CNN poll 20 years ago.
Wow.
And you're telling me now racism is greater now than it was 20 years ago after the election and re-election of a black president? You see, victocrats like Don Lemon think that they're advancing the cause when in fact they're hurting the cause. They are enabling people like my friend Mohammed, not his real name. I grew up with Paul, knowing him since the second grade. Great athlete. He was a starting point guard for the high school basketball team. He was the best pitcher for the baseball team. He picked up a tennis racket, fooled around with it for 2 weeks, tried out and made the tennis team.
People like that get on my nerves,
quarterback of the football team. He was the greatest prep athlete I have ever seen. We were very good friends. I graduate from high school. I go to college. I come back, and my friend has changed his name from Paul to Muhammad. He's thrown away all his trophies, thrown away all of his stuff.
Wow.
Now he's going to be a warrior for the cause. You see, here's what happened.
Wow.
When Muhammad would be late for practice, as he was all the time, he never got benched. One time he was really late, and as the coach was finally berating him in front of the other players, Muhammad slowly took off his jersey, threw it in the coach's face, and the coach started him the next game. However, when the coaches came, Notre Dame, UCLA, Marquette, all the big ones came, Duke, to scout him, the coach had to be honest because the coach's reputation's on the line. And he told all these schools he is a coach killer. He's the kind of guy who will disrupt the atmosphere, and you will not win with this guy, even though he's a great player. Bye-bye Notre Dame. Bye-bye UCLA. Bye-bye USC. He ended up going to a very small, non-basketball-oriented college, and he was... So he sat around, smoking dope, going to practice late, and I never got it straight whether he quit the team or whether the coach kicked him off. But believe me, he is sitting in his home right now where we grew up, still whining about the white man. Now, when I came back from college, I went to visit him, and he's doing all this stuff with me, and I said, ho, 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 whoa, whoa, whoa. You're talking to somebody who's known you since the second grade.
Go ahead.
Whatever the white man did to you, he did to me.
He did to me.
Same teachers,
Go ahead,
same
bro.
classes, same schools. How come I'm successful and you're not?
Go ahead. Exactly.
You may tell these people up in your neighborhood while you're sitting around and whining to them and they're listening to you. That might work for them, but not for me. I've known your butt since the second grade. Anything that happened to you happened to me, and therefore it's on you. You made choices. You showed up late. You had an attitude. And it turns out that my friend Muhammad was the first boy I knew who did not live with both his mother and father. His father and his mother got divorced when he was very young. He had a bad relationship with his dad. And it goes to show you one more time about the foundation that's necessary in order for somebody to succeed. He didn't have that kind of foundation, but he was still angry. He still made bad choices, and he ended up where he's at. But instead of accepting responsibility, blaming the white man, and people like Don Lemon and Mark Lamont Hill and Michael Eric Dyson and Eric Holder, all this cabal of whiners are enabling people like my friend to cop out and blame other people. It's disgusting. It's pathetic. And I'm sick of it. I'm Larry Elder.
Call in.
That's right.
And, of course, you know what eventually happened to Mr. Lamont over at CNN.
I'm sorry, you're fired. Get out of here. Right?
Joe Biden's cluelessness goes back a long way.
The man who all his years in the Senate voted against every weapon system except slingshots is now talking tough about our adversaries and the need for national security. You're right, he doesn't. To those of you who are too far away to hear, a lady up here said he doesn't know what he's talking about. She's absolutely right.
Ruh-roh. According to a sworn affidavit by an ABC whistleblower, the debate was rigged in Harris's favor. The whistleblower says ABC gave the Harris campaign sample questions similar to the actual questions that would be used for the debate, agreed to give Harris a smaller podium and other arrangements to minimize the size differential between Harris and Trump, that fact-checking will be done only for Trump, not for Harris, and the Harris campaign gave questions that ABC were told not to be included in the debate, including questions regarding her time as DA in San Francisco and her time as California AG. ABC, of course, denies this, but the ratings are down 12% since the debate.
Well, that's not good.
It's not like something like this hasn't happened before, you know.
Former DNC chairwoman and disgraced CNN commentator Donna Brazile has admitted that she relayed confidential questions to Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign in advance of last year's primary debate. In a letter to Time magazine, Brazile said she would forever regret the decision. The scandal was revealed after WikiLeaks published thousands of emails belonging to Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta. But according to Breitbart.com, Brazile said in her letter that the media narrative about her being in cahoots with the Clinton campaign played out just as the Russians hoped. She added that the news left Sanders supporters understandably angry and sowing division in the ranks of the Democratic Party. On October 14th, CNN accepted Brazil's resignation as a network contributor. CNN's Reliable Sources host Brian Stelter said Brazil's collusion with the Clinton campaign embarrassed all of CNN.
Do you have any idea how hard it is to embarrass CNN?
Consider the case of Jeffrey Toobin, a deeply respected writer and television commentator who until yesterday served regularly as the on-air chief justice correspondent for CNN.
What really amazes me is the John Thunes, the Susan Collins who say, the president has learned his lesson.
Yeah.
No, he has not. No, he has not. He is going to do this again. He said he will do it again. And the idea that there is some chastening here is absurd.
Toobin has been a fixture on CNN for decades, and this story shows how he remained firmly placed among the media elite. Imagine this, a top-tier Zoom call. People on the call, some of the biggest writers from the most respected magazine in the country. Toobin is on a call with colleagues from The New Yorker who are playing some...
Rich DeMuro was on there?
No, this is our generic
our Zoom video.
His kids
planning some special election coverage. Along with not only folks from The New Yorker, from New York City's premier public radio station, WNYC, all told, about 20 people are on the Zoom call. There's some breakout rooms. Speaking of breaking out, according to press reports, at some point, Toobin engages in an intimate act of self-gratification, seemingly unaware that a Zoom camera is on. For his part, Toobin calls the incident an embarrassing and stupid mistake. New Yorker has suspended the longtime writer. Toobin himself asked to be taken off the air at CNN while he deals with a, quote, personal issue. All say
Americans have had enough of supporting companies that hate our values. Tired of compromise? So am I. It's time to switch to Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They are an example of putting the cause ahead of profits, and that's why I'm proud to partner with them. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you access to all 3 major networks, which means you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to without funding the left. When you switch over to Patriot Mobile, you're sending a message that you support the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the sanctity of life, and our military vets and our first responder heroes. Their 100% U.S.-based customer service team makes it easy to switch, keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their team will help you find the best plan for your needs. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. That's patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. Get free activation when you use the offer code Larry. Join me and make that switch today. patriotmobile.com/Larry, patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. Trump has been balling a long time.
Donald Trump doesn't just live large. He lives, really, on top of the world. He is the American dream. We had to see it for ourselves, so we sent one of our producers to spend a whirlwind day in the life of Donald. At 8:30 in the morning, our crew enters Donald Trump's 50-room, $50 million penthouse apartment. Take a look at the crystal, chandeliers, frescoed ceilings, and marble statuettes. Donald has been up since 5, and he's ready for work.
I've never tried a tie on the Oprah show before, I'll tell you. Having a lot of fun with New York real estate. It's been an amazing time. Let's go get the world. Come on. Hello, James. How you doing, sir?
At 1 in the afternoon, he takes us in his personal limo to one of his latest luxury condominium projects.
I've made so many deals in New York, and I own so much property in New York that every street I go on, it seems that I own something.
At 5 in the evening, we boarded Donald's private jet. It is a 727. Family and friends were on board, waiting for Donald to whisk them away to his beachfront estate, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach.
I enjoy my life, and I have a good life, but I'm a worker. I like working much more than I like playing. I've got what I want, and I love what I do. I think I'm a nice guy. I mean, I get along with people. I have great relationships. I have a lot of wonderful relationships. And even in business, I have a lot of wonderful relationships. Gordon Gekko was not big into the world of relationship. Is greed good? No, greed is bad. Greed is not good. I do it for fun. I love doing it. I love what I'm doing. The expression that they used in the movie, greed is good, was an incredible expression. It was great for purposes of a movie, but greed is certainly not good.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me. And I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not. But I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But, you know, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined. I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing. This country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. It wouldn't be the way it's been, believe me.
This is Donald Trump, 33 years old, and some people think that he wants to buy the World Trade Center, the 110-story Manhattan skyscraper that anyone can pick up if they've got the coins. Donald Trump, as I say, is just 33 years old. He took his father's rather modest by current standards real estate empire in Brooklyn and expanded it considerably. Mr. Trump, what's left in your life? You're 33 years old. You're worth all this money. You say you didn't say that you want to be worth $1 billion.
No, I really don't. I just want to keep busy and keep active and be interested in what I do. And that's all there is to life as far as I'm concerned. I really am not looking to make tremendous amounts of money. I'm looking to enjoy my life. And if that happens to go with it, that's fabulous.
And Trump killed on Gutfeld.
The people who vote for him, I think they're stupid. I don't think I do. I'll be honest with you. I have no respect for you.
You could be president. Do you ever think about anything like that?
No.
Really, never?
No.
Why?
I wouldn't make a good president.
You don't think you'd be good?
I wouldn't really pass any of the things that you have to pass to, but I guess Trump did it.
Yeah, no. You would be a Boy Scout like a yeah.
Well, that didn't age well for either of them.
Whoops.
So, Mr. Trump, the thing that I think my theory is that famous people don't like it when their fame is put in proper perspective, when it's dwarfed by somebody with more fame. So they prefer to be on the hierarchy of fame. They want to be on top. I notice a lot of these guys, it's an emotional response to the fact that you're bigger, more well-known. Does that make sense?
Well, I know some of them, and like Howard, I was on Howard Stern's show as much as anybody, and he was great at that time. And
we have to talk about Donald Trump. He's a big character in the book because
he was a big character on my show.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. You say one of your best guests ever.
Donald Trump, hands down, whenever you put him on the air. Now, this is before he was running for president. He was an open book. He would say anything. And, you know, oddly enough, during the campaign and even now, people quote these interviews that I did with him big time. I was quite surprised when they dragged out every single Donald Trump interview I had done.
Donald, do you ever discuss sex with your daughter?
No.
You do not?
No.
You've never sat
And I
down?
have a feeling we're not going to hear.
Another embarrassing video from a 2006 Howard Stern show has surfaced. It shows Trump alongside daughter Ivanka and son Don Jr. joking about being a sexual predator.
You know about sexual predators and things like that. Right. I mean,
You are one.
All right, I was going to say that, but it's true.
And in some ways, I felt it was unfair to Trump because, like, for example, they were fond of quoting that Donald Trump had said something to the effect that STDs were his personal Vietnam.
Dating, right? And when you got to say to a woman, hey, listen, you got to go to my personal doctor and I'm going to have you checked out. Is that a tough thing to say to a woman, or you just got the to say it?
You know, I'll tell you, it's amazing. I can't even believe it. I've been so lucky.
Right.
In terms of that whole world.
You've never gotten a social disease.
It is a dangerous world out there.
It is.
Scary. It's like Vietnam, sort of like, you know, the Vietnam era.
It is your personal Vietnam, isn't it?
It is my personal
It is. You've said that many times.
Like a great and very brave soldier.
But really, it was in a very joking scenario. He was not comparing his life to a Vietnam vet. It was ha, 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 and this and that. But when journalists took it and made it serious, I thought it was a little bit unfair.
Then he went woke.
Yeah.
And since he's gone woke, his ratings have gone down the tubes. And he sort of went anti-Trump for a couple of reasons. Mm-hmm. But I was on his show a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, he has a best of. Did you ever see the best of Howard Stern? I don't want to promote it necessarily, but and I was there for just about all of them. The best of. We had good shows. He was good, but he's changed, and he doesn't do the ratings anymore.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have to. He's almost finished. It is funny. Waltz is a strange dude.
Oh, he's strange.
He is strange. Him and I are the same age. How does he look so much younger?
No, he's a strange guy.
Strange.
He called up years ago. I was in the White House, and he said, my house is being surrounded by people with American flags. I said, is that a good thing or a bad thing? He said, I think they're going to attack me. This was during the riots and everything else. They were MAGA people. They like the American flag, all right? And they also had Trump. And I said, how do you know? There were about 15,000, He said, could you put out a word like that I'm your friend? I don't even know him, but that's the only time I ever spoke to him. And if you look back long ago, tweets, before Truth, tweets, long ago, I put out a statement. He's a good man, the governor. He's on our side. I didn't know him, but I didn't want him to get hurt. And everybody put down their flags and they left. Yes. He said it was a miracle. He said it was a miracle. I didn't want him to get hurt.
Scared by the American flag.
They are.
They say he's not a nice guy. I would have had fun with that. I'm like, it's called a barbecue. Go outside.
Yeah.
Did you ever wake up and realize your life has no purpose?
Do I have a death wish? Morgan asked. Maybe I did. I thought this would be our final run ever. We had made millions and millions of dollars, but God had other plans.
Peter Lowe, the one-time drug dealer turned pastor, along with 2 others, will be executed at 12 midnight local time.
You can be in heaven, or you can be in hell. The choice is yours. I found Christ in here, and he forgave me.
My name is Peter Lowe, and I will be executed in 2 hours.
Jesus is for free, and salvation is a gift. Do you believe in Jesus?
Are immigrants barbecuing and eating animals? This is Dayton, Ohio, not far from Springfield, Ohio.
Yo, what is this they got on the grill?
Is that the thing kills the cats?
Man, listen, man. There go a cat right there. Better get missing, man. Look like it's homies on the grill, man.
But as far as illegal aliens voting, not to worry.
Friends, this was sent to me by a friend of mine who was taking her nephew to get his driver's license, as you see in the building there in Pompano Beach, Florida. She got turned away both days and was told to come back at 6 in the morning. She showed up at 6 in the morning to this. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? She said most were Somali illegal immigrants. A whole lot of military-age men there. And listen, they don't want anybody filming. They don't want the public to see this. And all you need to vote is a driver's license. Kamala let these people in.
About those pagers and walkie-talkies that exploded, killing dozens and wounding more than 27 Hezbollah terrorists, here's what the Jerusalem Post said, and I'm quoting. The nature of the operation continues to stagger minds. The operation stands as one of the most successful military feats since the Second World War, not only because of its flawless execution, but because Israel achieved something unprecedented, the most precisely targeted anti-terrorist operation in the history of the world. This was not just a disruption of terrorist capabilities, but also a psychological dismantling of the minds of tens of thousands of Hezbollah members. Even those who were not physically harmed are now mentally wounded. Their mindset will never be the same. They will no longer view a refrigerator, microwave, or light bulb in the same way. Until their last day, they will never feel safe no matter where they are. They will live in constant fear of what might explode next. End of quote. Trick or treat.
Are you Donald Trump? Yes, I am. You know.
And I'm Hillary Clinton.
Shut up. Anyway, we want this bag of candy so huge to the rim.
Stealing while black is not a crime. Who knew? It's good to be black.
Personally, I don't look at a crime. If you're going into Target, a multi-billion-dollar company, and stealing clothes, it's not a crime. You're resourceful.
It's not a crime?
Hell no. You're resourceful. You're homeless.
That's where we disagree, I think.
You've been displaced. I mean, because you're white and I'm black, there's a whole nother socio-economical piece that I have never had access to. So you can go into any single place and put your name on a piece of paper, apply for that job. You're not worried about if your name sounds too black. You're not worried about if when you show up, if you got to do something with your locks because it's inappropriate. Target enslaved my ancestors a year ago.
Target?
Target.
What did Target do?
If we really want to break down every single system that has truly impoverished our community, enslaved us, taken money from our families, and then displaced us as if now we're the burden to this entire city that was once 40% black.
Sure. But what did Target do, and at what point do we not uphold any values when we lead to...
At what point do we not uphold Target to then give back all of their funds that they can easily give back?
But if we steal from Target, then we steal from CVS, then we steal from Walmart, then the Walmarts leave, and then all we have...
But we built it.
No, but then all we have are corner stores in Oakland when we run out all these large businesses, right?
Our corner stores are mom and pop's own. They're black and brown owned. We don't steal from our corner stores. That's the crazy part.
Security footage shows a man walking into Ideal Market in Oakland and seconds later ripping out the store's ATM. It happened around 10 p.m. Thursday night while the store was still open with an employee inside.
We have ATM as a convenience for the neighborhood, for the customers that come here.
But
we could rock into a
let's
corner
take Walmart's in Chicago.
Okay.
They're gone. Why are they gone?
Whose fault is that?
People stealing from Walmart.
Why did Walmart come into an urban city already and displace thousands of black people in an area where we needed housing first? Once we have housing, you can sustain yourself from there on in. Walmart.
A Real Clear Markets article said Bank of America needs to come clean about debanking practices. It wrote, and I'm quoting, more victims of Bank of America's debanking regime have come forward, including Timothy II Project International and constitutional scholar John Eastman, a friend of mine, both debanked under similar circumstances by the nation's second largest bank. The bank's lack of transparency about cancellations that suspiciously look like they are based on viewpoint is why shareholders sought a report assessing whether the bank's policies and practices pose a risk of politicized debanking. Old Glory Bank will never debank any law-abiding customer. Our mission is the Constitution. Open an account at oldglorybank.com, and when you get your debit card in the mail, activate it, and you'll get a copy of my latest book, As Goes California, at a 50% discount. oldglorybank.com, that's oldglorybank.com. Speaking of illegal aliens, not only did the Biden administration let in some 12 million illegals, but this San Diego Border Patrol agent testified that he was told by officials not to inform the public about the growing danger.
In San Diego, we had an exponential increase in significant interest aliens. These are aliens with significant ties to terrorism. Prior to this administration, the San Diego sector averaged 10 to 15 SIA arrests per year. Once word was out the border was far easier to cross, San Diego went to over 100 SIAs in 2022, well over that in 2023, and even more than that registered this year. These are only the ones we caught. At the time, I was told I could not release any information on this increase in SIAs or mention any of the arrests. The administration was trying to convince the public there was no threat at the border. Fentanyl is another issue. The San Diego area sees between 80 and 90% of the methamphetamine and fentanyl seizures annually for our entire country. With little enforcement at the border, these drugs were coming through en masse. During my last year in San Diego, the price for a single pill of fentanyl, for example, went from $10 to 25 cents. To make matters worse, during 2022 and 23, I had to shut down San Diego traffic checkpoints, which are critical for drug interdiction, because the resources had been diverted to the process and release mission. The large numbers also had and still have a negative impact on the San Diego community. I had to release illegal aliens by the hundreds each day into communities who could not support them. To quiet the problem, 2 flights a week were provided from San Diego to Texas. These flights simply brought aliens that would have been released in San Diego over to Texas. Each flight cost approximately $150,000. This was the administration's way to try and quiet the border-wide crisis.
Now, Tucker Carlson invited me to join him and RFK Jr. on stage in Milwaukee.
I am honored to introduce, for an update on the biggest, most important state, the Golden State of California, my friend, Larry Elder. Larry Elder, I'm so honored you're here.
Are you aware that Tucker does not wear socks?
I don't wear socks. No, I don't. You get to a certain age and you're like, you know, I still pay my taxes and get a driver's license, but there's some things I'm not doing.
I don't want to know what else you don't wear.
I'm in a commando unit, let me just say that. I beg your pardon. Oof, doesn't take much for me to get right to the vulgar newsroom and deep inside me. So, Larry, you, as I said, I got fired right after you announced.
Right.
I was sitting.
I killed your show.
You did.
I came on this show on Thursday and I announced I was running for president. By the way, this is kind of the scene of the crime for me. You had the first GOP debate here in Milwaukee.
I remember that campaign very well, and I think the LA Times called you a white supremacist.
No.
Maybe she thought you were a white supremacist. I don't know.
Let's be accurate. I was called the black face of white supremacy.
Sorry.
I worked very hard for that title, Tucker.
What does that even mean? I never figured. That's like a Zen cone. That's the sound of one hand clapping. I don't even understand it.
I've been on radio for 30 years. And the first 6 months I was on radio, every third caller called me an Uncle Tom or a sellout or a bootlicker, bug-eyed bootlicking Uncle Tom, Sambo Tom. So I'm on the radio for about 6 months, and I walk into a restaurant, and there are a couple of brothers sitting on a brick wall. Based on the way they were dressed, they weren't investment bankers. And one of them said, "Larry Elder, I hate you, and I love you. Come on over here." Now, Tucker, I'm thinking if they were going to shoot me, they'd have done it by now. I can't outrun a bullet, might as well go over there. So I went over, he goes, "You know, I've been listening to you about 4 or 5 months now. And at first I couldn't stand your black ass. But the more I started listening to you, more I said, he ain't doing nothing but telling people to get off their ass and stop complaining. You're like castor oil. It don't taste good going down, but it's good for you. Keep it up."
What advice would you give to the people in this room, since you are in that 1/100th of 1% of the population who says what he really thinks? How would you encourage people to have heart to do the same? What makes you different? Why are you able to just go on the website, see that it's incorrect, and just say it in public when most people are afraid to do that? What advice?
It's what you said in your monologue. Think for yourself. Use your own judgment. Be skeptical. Ingest the news in a discriminating way. The Media Research Center found that ABC, NBC, CBS, 85% of their coverage was positive regarding Kamala Harris and Walz. 93% of it was negative regarding Trump and Vance. And ABC News was the worst. Of 25 stories they've done since Kamala Harris became the presumptive nominee, 100% have been positive. 93% of the ones for Donald Trump have been negative. And ABC alone from CBS, NBC, is the only one of those three that has never referred to Kamala Harris as a liberal or even a progressive. You're being lied to. Use your own common sense, use your own judgment, and thank goodness for alternative sources of news like Tucker, like a Glenn Beck.
Think for yourself. It's not that hard.
That's not that hard.
Larry Elder, you're a hero. Thank you.
I asked RFK Jr., who objected to the COVID vaccine and the mandates, if he holds Trump, who he now has endorsed, responsible for Trump's reaction to COVID, including Operation Warp Speed. Bobby, speaking of President Trump, you've endorsed him for a number of reasons, but he did give us Operation Warp Speed. To what degree do you hold him culpable for succumbing to the fear you've talked about?
Well, I absolutely hold him culpable, but here's what, and for a lot of other things, that I disagreed with in the first Trump administration. I didn't like seeing Scott Gottlieb cash in at FDA and Alex Azar running HHS, and oil lobbyists running the Interior Department, coal lobbyists running EPA, telecommunication lobbyists running the FCC, et cetera. I talked to President Trump at length about this, and he said, look, when I got elected in 2016, I didn't know how to govern, and to tell you the truth, it was kind of surprising that we won the election. And he said, I was immediately inundated by lobbyists and business people, and they were all saying, you appoint this guy, appoint that guy, appoint that guy. And he said, I did it, and I wish I hadn't. And he understands that Scott Gottlieb was cashing in, and he did a $100 billion favor for Pfizer, and then went back to work for Pfizer on his board of directors. And so I think that President Trump has said to me that we're going to do something different this time, and that's why he launched the transition team 5 months before he takes power. The last time he did his transition team, he started in January. He's now launched it. I'm on it. Tulsi's on it.
Yo, CNN, meet MAGA.
What's your most important issue?
The economy, getting the interest rates down, getting it where we can afford to live in America. Right now, it's too expensive.
Okay, now let me maybe ask like a slightly impolite question. But, if you can afford a boat, you're not hurting so bad, right? Because a boat costs a lot of money and it's a lot of upkeep.
Listen, nobody gave me. I earned everything that I've got. I'm retired military, retired power plant, and I am successful and retired and with boats, jet skis, because I did it right. And everybody has that chance. Whether they choose or not, that's up to them.
Who doesn't love the Duke?
Have you ever heard of some fellas who first came over to this country? You know what they found? They found a howling wilderness, with summers too hot and winters freezing. And they also found some unpleasant little characters who painted their faces. Do you think these pioneers filled out form number X6277 and sent in a report saying the Indians were a little unreasonable? Did they have insurance for their old age, for their crops, for their homes? They did not. They looked at the land and the forests and the rivers. They looked at their wives, their kids, and their houses. And then they looked up at the sky and they said, thanks, God. We'll take it from here. They were rugged fellas. They were men.
Let's end it here.
I get back up. That's what I do. I didn't soldier on this far just to lose. So take your shot. Is that all you got? I'm a fighter. No one can say that I'm a running hider. I was born to be a do-or-dyer, a make-it-rider. Don't throw that towel just yet. Don't cash in that last bet, 'cause I hit harder when I'm tired. Yeah, I'm a fighter. Oh, no one can keep me down. They didn't know, but they know now. That I'm a fighter. No one can say that I'm a running hider. Don't cash in that last bet. Don't throw that towel just yet. I'm a fighter.
Hope you enjoyed. We've got a country to save, brought to you by my friends at investyrefy.com. Invest in America like I do. And by Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat has true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. Speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Epoch Times, Old Glory Bank, Patriot Mobile, and Birch Gold. Make sure to follow or subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are using, whether X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. And be sure to patronize our sponsors. And remember, we've got a country to save.
Madam Vice President, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. I've appreciated this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.